Full disclosure, I am not actually a developer on this game.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But you are not being deceived, because I have been one of the resident tank experts for the development of this game. That's right, this is a project that I've been assisting with for quite a while now, but have kind of just been keeping it somewhat on the down low. I really didn't want to make some huge announcement or call for anything until I had something very concrete to show off to you guys, as I'm finally doing today, because an official alpha demo has finally been dropped for this game. Now, hold on. What is this game? Well, the game in question is called Aces and Armour, and it is currently being developed by a very small indie development team. Do you guys remember my most recent video on Steel Crew, the VR tank game, where I described my dream tank game?
I pitched this on the Discord once where I said that I think War Thunder should have something like For Honor. Every single player is playing as like a hero, and then there's all these AI gremlins, and the AI gremlins are fighting for control of the points, and then you as the heroes, as the players, you get to help your gremlins by killing other gremlins. What if you did that, but in a tank game? There's still other enemy players also in tanks, but like it's like objective based, like you help mow down the enemy infantry and help your infantry push onto objectives and whatnot. I unironically think it's a really good idea, so somebody email me, because I would be happy to advise on there, because I think that would just be awesome. I think that would just be awesome.
Yeah, well, honestly, this is that. Aces and Armour is setting out to be a large-scale, multiplayer, multi-crew tank simulator. Something on the scale of Arma or IL-2. Now, this game has been advertising for a little while now. In fact, they have a YouTube channel. You can check out their dev blogs, links, everything in the description down below. The scale is large. The matches will take a long time. AI, infantry, pushing objectives automatically, and you and your buddies in your tank, multi-crewed tanks, are supporting your infantry, supporting your assets, pushing up the line, and actually progressing the battlefield. Now, just on the game mode premise already, you've got me hooked, but then the game promises the detail and the full fidelity modeling of their tanks. Yeah, so this actually, believe it or not, this will be a feature of the game, being able to walk around outside of your tank. Yeah, we got all the features. I mean, not to turn this into a full Tank Enthusiast Reacts, but this is a Panzer IV Ausführung E, mid 1942 configuration. We have all the right features. I mean, these guys did an amazing job. All right, so in the driver's position of the Panzer IV, we've got a bunch of interactable elements. We have our little driver's periscope here, or rather binoculars. Yeah, we can put that in front and then get up on here. And yeah, the depth of field really doesn't like that, so we'll move that out of the way. But that's sort of the armored glass cover for this port. If you press H, you can actually see they have everything labeled, so you can actually see what all the different stuff does. Even if you can't specifically interact with it, you can read all of what they do. So that is, again, this is basically in of itself an educational tool. I think Patchbit said that in his video, and I agree. I mean, this is an immensely beautiful and useful. I actually don't believe, I may have noticed earlier, if we move our tiller out of the way, that right there is where your gear stick would go. I think for now they don't have the gear stick modeled, which is fine, but yeah, that would be where your gear stick would go. Oh, there they are. Oh, beautiful. Yep, those are the lights, and these lights, you can actually rotate these lights. But yeah, as the driver, I mean, pretty much your whole job is to just keep an eye on this. I mean, this is your entire life as the driver of this tank, so you got to make sure that nothing's overheating, nothing is being weird. Full disclaimers, this game is pretty much entirely community funded, and a lot of the research is more or less crowdsourced. They have channels on their Discord. Again, their Discord is down in the description if you'd like to join. You can join their Discord, and if you have sources on something cool that you think they might need for the game to represent something accurately, you can just go ahead and post stuff in their Discord, in the research channels, and they may very well pick up some of what you do. Not promising that for everyone, but none of the researchers, including myself, are actually on the payroll of the dev team. So I'm not being paid by the developers. I am not actually part of the dev team. Myself and a couple other YouTubers have finally been provided with what is a very pre-alpha build. I mean, as far as I know, this is quite literally the first playable build of the entire game that anyone has ever seen. Well, not quite. I do have a bit of exclusive access to something really cool that I'll show you guys in a minute. This is a small team of guys, and they need the support of the tank community. Your like, your subscription, your view, your donation, whatever you decide to do to add one little step up the ladder to getting this game made. So obviously, things are subject to change. Typical disclaimers of these early access, sort of early builds builds of games. There's going to be bugs, things are going to look a little bit weird. What the point of this demo is really to show you is that we can build tanks where every button and switch is interactable. Like, we are physically capable of doing it. You can pop open the glass on this. Where is the, oh, we have to, the handle. There you go. Nice, we actually have to do the handle. That's actually so cool. And of course, we can peek our heads out. So we can do the classic sitting alongside the tank as it rolls. Actually, this will be cool. Yeah, dude, so imagine like you and a bunch of your buddies, like, you know, you're driving to the objective or whatever, and you can just kind of stick your head out. Get this awesome view while you're driving by. So cool. What I love about this is it's exactly what I've always wanted out of games like Postscriptum or Hell Let Loose, where you have the multi-crew tanks, but when you button up in the tanks, you just get like a black void with just the periscope or something like that that you can look through, and there's not actually an interior in the tank to look around in. Now, some games, like the original Red Orchestra games, take it a step further, and you can actually look around inside the interiors. This is really good. Also, shout out the interiors mod for Postscriptum, now Squad 44. But now this game is taking it a step further, where the interiors of these tanks are not only fully modeled, but fully interactable. Every button and switch and lever, every dial, everything can be touched, can be interacted with. You can turn all the knobs, you can literally operate the entire tank. And for the gameplay of each crew member, you'll need to operate every little button on the tank. All right, so here we are in the gunner's position of the Panzer IV. It's a signal hatch for sticking flags, also flares. You can pop flares out of there. The configuration of little hatches on the roof of the Panzer IV is one of those things that changes throughout the models. That is, yeah, your turret azimuth indicator, so you can see what direction the turret is spinning. We've got elevation and depression, which is correct. Right now, this demo is focused on driving the tank, so all the keybinds, like I can control the tank from the gunner's position, which is obviously not correct. When the game comes out and they have the different positions, that's where you'll have shortcut keybinds for different things. Like, you're not gonna have to look at the thing and do this every single time you wanna elevate and depress the gun, but for this little tech demo, this is just really cool to show you that all the stuff is real and interactable. Oh, here we go. We have, yeah, slewing the turret left and right. You got some ammunition stowage here. The loader has a assisting traverse handle, so he can help spin the turret a little bit faster if they're stuck on manual traverse, or he can just help traverse the turret if he so needs to or wants to. Oh, there's your intercom box. Yep. There's the button for, oh, there we go. Nice. Yeah, firing circuit clearance button. So this is the button up here that the loader would grab his rounds, and then he would throw the rounds into the breech, and then he has to press that button to let the gunner know that the gun is ready to fire. That to me is amazing, and pardon me if I'm mistaken, has never been done before. Even in games like IL-2, which again have very, very well modeled interiors, I don't believe they are interactable to this degree. But yeah, what I'm excited about, and again, this is something I have ranted about in a video before, freaking loader gameplay, dude. I want loader gameplay so bad. Open up the ammo bins and actually have to grab the shells and actually have to load them into the tube and actually have to press the button to let the gunner know that it's ready. Like, I want all of this. I want loader gameplay. I want it so freaking bad. You have no idea how badly I want loader gameplay. All right, so we are inside the Panzer IV, so I'm gonna teach you guys how to drive the Panzer IV. So the way this works is we actually use A and D to pull the tillers, and you can see that it's not binary. You only pull the gear back so far. And you can actually see the linkages and everything are properly moving. And this is just messing with the clutch, basically. Although the Panzer IV doesn't have a clutch brake steering system. But they've modeled it like a clutch brake steering because it functions identically and it's easier for now. But the Panzer IV has planetary gear system. But again, it works the same. So the way when you pull on the stick just this little bit, basically freezing the sun gear and the planetary gears are going around it. And this is how you get a little bit of turn by doing this. But then if you keep going and you pull the stick further back, now you're engaging the brake, and that's this giant drum right here. This is the giant brake drum. And that hose down on the bottom left is to take dust that is kicked up from your brake drums, and it vents it all the way back into the engine bay so all the brake dust doesn't get in your face. Anybody who owns a BMW, you know that their brake pads are very dusty. I guess some things never change. And then when you pull all the way back, you're actually engaging a brake on the left side, so you're getting a much, much tighter turn by doing that. And of course, that works both ways. So if we put this into practice, give it some more turning here. I'm actually gonna start engaging the brake to get that tighter turn. There we go. Turn, hard turn, hard turn. There we go. Dude, honestly, once you get used to this, like, once you actually get used to the system, it's actually, like, pretty good. Holding down A is, you know, filling up those bars, but then I have to hold down Q to unfill those bars. This is actually nice too. If we hold down both A and D at the same time, and we engage clutch and brake on both tillers, we stop the tank, because we're pulling the brakes on both sides. This is honestly, just driving this tank around is actually so much fun. So real quickly, I want to get into a bit of the nitty-gritty of what exactly I've been doing to help develop this game. Or again, I say help develop, I'm not a developer, I'm not actually doing any modeling. Just about a year ago, the lead game developer, Alexandros, came to me and said, hey, I'm working on a game, we want to model a Panzer IV. We want the Eastern Front, time frame is mid-1942, what do you think? They left it very open for me, and I was spoiled for choice, but I chose the Panzerkampfwagen Ausführung E, as we see here in this demo. Now, I understand I probably could have gone for the Ausführung F, because especially by mid-1942, Operation Barbarossa is really in full swing, and in fact, the Ausführung G is right around the corner. But my thinking was the Ausführung E would definitely still be around in decent numbers at this time, and I wanted to go as far back as possible while still being realistic, so that they can go forwards and they can add new and they can evolve. I did a full write-up on the tank and its history, how many were built, where it would have been around this time, how likely would it have been to be seen. I specifically remember the lead developer really stressed to me, I want this to be, if you were teleported to the Eastern Front mid-1942 and you just looked around, what tanks would you see? And for me, yeah, Panzer IV, Ausführung E, or F, with the short barrel 75. By mid-1942, the KWK-40 is being planned, and in the summer, it is being put in at the factories, but they don't show up on the front lines until September. Now, the tanks will also have upgrade trees, and the Panzer IV does have an upgrade for getting the KWK-40 to sort of simulate, you know, going through 1942, when that stuff does end up coming through. And before you ask, yes, Panzer IV Ausführung E's and even Panzer IV D's with KWK-40s definitely existed. In fact, by the time the KWK-40 comes around, the demand for upgun tanks was so high, any Panzer IV tank that was damaged in battle and was being sent back to the factory for repairs would have been instantly brought up to the newest standards, including installation of the KWK-40 and up-armoring. This was legitimately quite common. For the Panzer IV specifically, I worked intimately with the modelers of the game to ensure that everything that they were making was correct. If they said, hey, we're going to do the radio system, what is the radio system? I went out, did the research, and found the radio system. In fact, I actually did an entire breakdown of the intercom and radio system of a Panzer IV, specifically to help out the developers, and recorded it, sent it to them as a video, which I do plan on posting here on the main channel eventually, so you guys can see all of what I told them. And actually, funny enough, as a quick note, this is the radio intercom system that we put into the tank here for this demo, but actually quite recently, some of our other researchers found that this radio system was installed in tanks at sort of towards the end of 1942. The transmitters and receivers and all that are the same, but the intercom system specifically was a little bit different. It's slightly anachronistic by a couple of months, and will probably not be the default intercom system when you first get the tank and when you unlock the tank in the real game. But it'll be available as an upgrade. This is the radio operator's setup, basically off of my notes, amongst many things. Like I remember this whole mount. I actually went through my entire book. I have a book about like secondary weapon mounts, and again, I have a whole conversation with Alexandros about making sure we got the correct mount for the MG34 in the tank. Yeah, this right here, the radio system, the developer specifically told me that they wanted radio operator gameplay, so that is going to happen. Yeah, and then you have the intercom box, so this is one of the things that's going to change. Like I said, the radio system that we modeled is like a late 1942 configuration, so for this configuration of Panzer IV Ausführung E as like mid-1942, specifically this control box is going to disappear, the intercom control box. That is the feature that was added. Yep. Yeah, I found a whole blog website of like World War II German radio equipment, and that was my primary source when showing the guys what all this stuff was. Literally my dream tank game. So can you imagine all of this gameplay and you actually have to like fight? Going to be very, very fun. And this is the level of fidelity that the developers want. I have been seriously impressed with all of the developers asking all the right questions. They seriously want to know every nut and bolt. Myself and the lead developer literally had a back and forth conversation about the color and brightness of the headlights on the Panzer IV. I think of myself as pretty autistic for tanks. I've never even thought about that, but we had to figure that out. And it gets even crazier once we had to get into the mechanics and the steering mechanisms and the handling of the vehicles. Shout out Hosa. This guy has been an incredible resource. He is amazing, really knowledgeable dude, especially on the mechanics. He works for people who actually restore tanks for a living. As far as he's told us, the driving system in this game is the most realistic tank driving he has ever seen in any video game. Yeah, shame I can't get into the gunner's sight either. At least if I can, I don't know how. Oh, there's the Panzer IV's iron sights. Fun fact, by the way, the Panzer IV has freaking iron sights, and this was one of those things I did not know until I did the research for this video. But yeah, dude, that is legit. That is so freaking funny. Like, I feel like that's such a German thing. But then again, I don't know. Maybe other tanks have iron sights. There's the gunner indicator. Yeah, the indicator light. So yeah, when this light goes red, the gunner knows he's ready to fire. And then his trigger is right there. You can see on the handle. That's the trigger to fire the gun. But obviously, we cannot do that in this demo. What's this? Oh, is this for lights? Hey, that's for the lights. I knew there were lights in here. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Electric traversing weapons come next. Bill, there you go. Look at that. But, okay, so that, I guess, is just the motor, controlling the motor. But then this is switching between electric and manual traverse. Oh, the engine deck, I didn't even notice. Yeah, look, pulling up the engine deck. So, oh, actually, let's, actually, wait, I have a great idea here. Spin the turret around. Oh, other way. You get over the engine deck. You can see how you would need to do this, right? Because that rear stowage bin goes over the deck. And we have the turret azimuth indicators. This is great, too. I can see I'm now facing 3 o'clock, which, yes, I am. We can pop out here. We can open up the hatch here. Look at that. The whole radiator comes out with the hatch. That's a very specific Panzer IV thing. Get access to the engine. That's the other hatch there, where you get access to the radiator. So on the Panzer IV, intake is through these louvers on the left, I'm pretty sure, and then exhaust is, well, there. That's like engine exhaust, but then air, like hot air, comes out through the right side here. I try not to think of myself as an expert or a historian, right? Like, I am just, at the end of the day, a kid on the internet who really, really likes tanks for some reason. But I have to say that working on something like this for, you know, the better part of a year, back and forth with these developers, and when I send them period photos of the interior and I describe all the systems in the tank and how they work and where they would be, and then I see the modeler sending screenshots back of them building what I've been showing them, I mean to give as much credit in the world to the actual guys developing the game, who are doing all the hard work of the actual 3D modeling and the coding, all the credit into the world of them, and for this is their game, this is their thing. But you know, you can't help but feel like a proud ownership thing of like, yo, like this is the Panzer IV as I described it to them, as I gave it to them. And it's incredible. And again, the developers themselves also have been really good about doing their own research. Like, I don't mean to say that the whole thing is modeled after me. And actually, there were several things that I was wrong about. I've also been admitting when maybe I wouldn't be so helpful. Like, there's specifically two up-and-coming tanks that they want to model for the game, where, you know, they came to me and I said, hey, like, with all due respect, I'm not really super knowledgeable with this particular tank, but I'll tell them, dude, if they ever end up modeling Lend-Lease Shermans or Lees, I will gladly be their sole source on that, because I'm pretty confident that I know the M3 Lee possibly better than like 90% of people on the internet. And I don't usually call myself an expert, but I really go watch my 2-part documentary series on the M3 Lee. I know that tank pretty damn well. And it's not just the Panzer IV. I also was called upon to help them with their T-34, and it was the exact same thing. Etta, we want to model a T-34 for the game. Which one? Go. And mid-1942, Ostfront, for the first time in my life, I had to go and figure out, like, difference between a Factory 183 T-34 and a Factory 112 T-34, or a Factory 174 T-34, or STZ. The Stalingrad Tractor Factory, like what all the different identifying features of each of those tanks are at different points in history. By the way, I decided to settle on a Factory 112 T-34 because there were also a lot of really cool experimental variants, like the add-on armor packages. There was a really cool flamethrower version that I wanted in the game. And so all the same rigmarole that we've gone through with the Panzer IV, we've had to do for the T-34. It's been so much fun. It's been an incredible experience. And I gotta like sing the praises of the dev team. Whether they manage to make the game that they want to make or not, I can tell that these guys really want to. Alexandros himself, I've talked to him multiple times, like one-on-one in Discord. He comes from the flight sim world. He comes from like Microsoft Flight Sim, and in those games, you know, the cockpits are fully interactable. Every button and switch you can flick. And he said, yeah, like I want to make, you know, a tank, multi-crew tank game that has the details of like a flight simulator. I don't quite yet know that much about tanks, and I want to surround myself with experts so that I can learn. And I am flattered, Alex, that you thought that I was worthy of this. If anyone's gonna make a game like this, I think you guys are more than qualified. And I gotta say too, like, to do all this work within a year, March of 2024, so just over a year ago, Alex reached out to me for this project, let alone when they actually started working on the Panzer IV. And the fact that, yeah, you know, within a year, they went from having literally nothing to having a functional, really well-modeled Panzer IV that drives, that is freaking cool. The way they described it is like, it's only gonna get faster. They're only gonna get better and better at this, and especially as they establish workflows for this, and they work out all the kinks in said workflow and all that, like, I think these guys are doing a bang-on job. I think the vision for their game, like, I think the game they want to build is, like I said at the beginning of this video, already basically my dream tank game that I've thought about for years. Like, I didn't even know Aces and Armor existed when I said that. And then Aces and Armor reaches out to me and they describe the game they want to make and they want me to be involved. This is something like I had to be a part of this, and I'm so happy that I am. And I'm so happy that I can finally share it with you guys. I know this has been a complete unscripted ramble video, but I'm just selling this game to you because I really want it to succeed. And if you want it to succeed too, you can join the Aces and Armor Patreon. There'll be a link down in the description. As I said, this game is entirely community funded. Actually, Alex told me a really funny note, which was currently they have around 500 unpaid members of the Patreon. And Alex told me that if all 500 of those unpaid members signed up for the lowest subscription amount, $5, they would instantly reach their funding goal and the whole dev team could work full-time and they could just make this game. If you seriously want to make this happen, join their Patreon. I know I will. If you'd like to learn even more about the game, you can go check out their YouTube channel. As I mentioned, link in the description. You can watch all of their dev blogs. So that's been my little featurette on Aces and Armor. This is, again, up-and-coming, large-scale, multi-crew simulator, tank simulator. I think you guys are going to probably see a couple videos from a couple different YouTubers on this game now that this little demo has been given out to us. I think Patchbits just did a video. Shout out Patchbits, by the way. Did a great video, man. I loved it. And with that, I'm going to leave you guys with another really cool little bit that I have, which is the first ever playable build of the game that I think anyone ever gave out to anyone, ever. The tank was not functional per se, since it didn't drive or anything, it didn't have a course of fire, but the interior was completely modeled with no textures or anything, and very botched lighting, and a completely physics-based interaction system. So take a look at this. Anyway, dude, yeah, that is the little Panzer IV demo for Aces and Armor. Obviously you can see the performance is not amazing at the moment, needs a bit more optimization. Couple bugs, as we can see, we totally destroyed our road wheels. But I do have a little treat. See if I can even get this one to run. I haven't opened this in a long time. So this is the first ever demo of this game that I was sent. So this is a super, super early build, like incredibly early. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same, but what was really cool about this version was all of the little levers and things were physics-based. You actually had to click on it and like physically push it from the back. Here we go. And then like drag it up and then every dial and button, if I grab this and then, yep, even the turret traversed correctly, but it was all through physics. I had to like physically use my mouse and twirl the handle. This we can grab, and I could physically grab it and move it around. There we go. You can see the lock there. Open the, I think that's open, the lock. Push it up. You can see why this is not the method that's, there we go. We can manage to do that. So yeah, and then as you can see, we're just floating in space. This is nothing. I wanted to show this off because I remember when the devs were talking about this. I remember like looking in the Discord and they were like, yeah, should it be physics-based like this? Or should it be like, yeah, set defined, like you click on the thing and then a little animation plays to interact with things. Ultimately, although I run the risk of people being like, what the hell, why didn't they keep this? This is so cool. Why didn't they keep this system? Do not nag the devs. I'm showing this to show you that game developers go through a lot of different iterations on things, and they have to see what works. This way of doing things was abandoned from what I remember on the Discord of them talking about it, because it would be way too resource intensive. Because think about it, these are all physics objects that you need to simulate inside of every single tank. This might work in like a single player environment, but when you bring this to multiplayer and you have multiple tanks on the battlefield all at the same time, and you have the physics of the tank like rocking back and forth, getting over bumps and hitting, this stuff is gonna be really, really bad. Like if any of you have played Half-Life 2, any physics-based game, you know how physics-based stuff has a tendency to break. And I think it's for the better. Like, as much as this is cool on paper, and like as a tech demo, this would be great. In fact, I actually, potentially, maybe would appeal to the Aces and Armor team and say, once the game is out, you guys have like a functional game with people playing it and everything. If you can spare the time, releasing another like sandbox hangar where people can mess around with the tanks like this, where they're physics-based, would be kind of cool. Yeah, look, you can already see stuff is like, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't behave very well. So yeah, physics-based is cool, and I definitely wanted to show this off because I think this was it's just a cool way to see how the sausage is made, you know? I think they made the right choice in abandoning the physics-based thing, but I wanted to show this off because this is just really cool. Anyway, back to the studio. And with that, I'm gonna have to end this video because I've already been recording for like 50 minutes. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and hopefully this has gotten you interested in Aces and Armor if you weren't already. And if you're new here, my name is Ed320. I am a random guy on the internet who really, really likes tanks. If you enjoyed this video or any of my other videos, if you enjoyed this video, go check out some of my other videos. And if you enjoy any of that stuff, leave a like and subscribe, and maybe join my Patreon. Not to squeeze you for every dollar that you're worth. At least with my Patreon, I promise that you can get early access to videos, a couple of exclusive things like short little things that I managed to record and don't know if they're really worth it for the main channel. You get these videos longer as well as getting them early, and you get access to a special channel on the Discord where you can talk specifically more directly to me and the other patrons. And of course, you just fund me and my ability to do amazing things, like go to museums and film for tank collections, and fund my gun collection addiction that I currently have. And yeah, you basically just get to feel good about yourself that you're helping me. If not, a like and subscription and joining my Discord and all that normal stuff is just fine. Anyway, that's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Ed320. I'll see you guys in my next video. Check out Aces and Armor, and call someone you love and tell them you love them. And stay hydrated. Damn, that's good. All right.